If I don't, that's cool. I'd rather rap than to go back to school. Pull back the tool and let a bitch loose like a mad pit bull. And you get smashed in the Yu-Gi-Oh duel. And what a wonderful start.
What is popping on my primetime people? We're back in here with another one. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what else you guys want to get into. We're going to be having a nice breakdown on critical race theory today. As I always say, controversy is conversation. We never shy away from a topic because it's too controversial. We're here to talk opinions, facts, and truth. You'll know the difference between each. Unbiased real shit is what we do here. Make sure you go check out my breakdown on cultural appropriation and why it's not your fault, white people. And make sure you subscribe so you see any new content we have coming to the channel. I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively apologize. There is construction going on near my house, so if there is any background noise you hear, I am sorry about that, but we are gonna do as much as we can to mitigate that. But today, we are gonna be talking about critical race theory, and why I think it's such an important topic is it's the future of our children. The thing is, we have to think about the future. We have to always think proactively about what we're doing for the youth, because that's gonna be who's running shit next. And as somebody who's not even 25, literally as a cis hetero black youth, I just want to see other people get the education I didn't get. The fact that I didn't get educated to my fullest potential due to the American school system is a shame, because generations of people behind me didn't have access to education at all. It's about breaking ground each generation. There's still improvement we can do. But critical race theory. Critical race theory was originated in the 70s and is a new way of thinking about how America is. It's a new way of looking at history. Instead of making racism physical, focusing on the slavery aspect, instead of focusing on laws, it's focusing on systemic racism. Redlining, it's focusing on wealth, it's focusing on housing, how things like that have systemically affected different kinds of people. It's looking at America through a different lens. And the thing is, new perspectives aren't bad. It isn't retroactively saying America is bad like a lot of people think it does. What I think is best to do is to present what each side is saying as somebody who's truly in the middle on most issues. I see everything. I'm an empath. I'm a nihilist. I see everything for what it is. I'm truly a pacifist. I don't believe in left and right narratives. I don't assign myself to any parties, because all of that is just retroactive bullshit. What we're here for is truth and the better future of our children. One of the other things critical race theory touches on is the power dynamics between different races and different wealth classes. Power lies in money. Power doesn't lie in skin, but the thing is, if you can direct where that money goes, it can go to a certain kind of people, and it systemically has. It's the opportunity to make money which is going to get you out of your situation. And then critical race theory also focuses on the systemic miseducation that prevents children from learning the truth, finding out more about their real history, and then it also is being blamed for making children feel guilty about their race due to history that they should have learned. If you ask critical race theorists, if you are presented with information, it really wouldn't be a shock. It's all real history and it's happened. So we're going to look at the people that are pro critical race theory, which I can say I semi-align with. I understand why people want critical race theory within schools. I understand why people want critical race theory taught to their children. But I understand why some don't. I understand the issues some people are stating when they say they don't want it in there. Just because somebody disagrees with you or this ideology doesn't immediately make them racist. You have to hear the alternate argument. Otherwise, you're not being a real empath or listener or anything, just like you'd want them to be to you or your issue. But the pros of critical race theory is the fact that it's presenting real history. We're not altering history. We're presenting history and then the aftermath of it. A lot of times right now in the American school system, we only look at highlights, glimpses, and blips of history. You hear about the Civil War, you hear about slavery, Jim Crow, and then MLK, Rosa Parks, and then we were free. We never learned about Malcolm X. I never learned about Malcolm X, anything he stood for. I never learned about Marcus Garvey. I never learned about the Back to Africa movement. We never learned about the depth of the Black Panther Party. We never learned about redlining, gentrification. We never learned about any of that, even though it's real things that are literally happening right now. Like, why can't we learn that? Why is that too oppressive? And I'm not saying teach this to 6th or 5th graders. I'm saying have the education system grow with our children. That's the way we should be aging our children out of school. You shouldn't be stuck on the basic building blocks of education, as they call it, and you're just learning things that are only going to apply within the confines of a school wall. You need to learn real history and how to approach real life situations. You need to be presented with complex situations. That will promote critical thinking. I remember there's critical thinking classes, but those were just reading. I looked forward to critical thinking. If you teach kids to analyze situations, if you teach them to have to empathize and sympathize at a young age, through presenting them history and how we've grown from it and how we can prevent things like that, I think it'll just make children better. I think it'll just make the future better. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So we might as well teach kids what happened before we repeat it, or they have to find out via an angry Twitter thread when there's some keyboard warrior, or when they're 16 and at home and now they don't want to learn this information. If we don't give it to them in schools, if you let at-home education be your only source of news, if you let school or the church be your only news, you're only getting one source of information, and that's always going to be biased no matter who it is. That's not an attack on the school or the church or your parents or anything. You have to get multiple sources of information if you really want a fully rounded perspective, and that's just what it is. We have to give our children a chance to develop those. But then they say there's cons. The people that are angry about critical race theory. They say it teaches white guilt. They say it teaches people to look at themselves as less than. It makes black people not happy about their brown skin. It makes them look at themselves as less than. It makes them see themselves as slaves. It shows America's flaws and presents it as an overall racist country. And a lot of that is already true right now. But I understand why you guys say that. It's because it doesn't feel like that to you. You aren't the ones feeling like that right now, but that's how America already feels for us. I understand how it feels, and I understand that just double it back on you, or for you to feel like we're throwing it on your children when it didn't happen to you, is overwhelming. But the thing is, we've always felt like this. We have always felt like this. And you can see that through the things we've had to do as Black, Latino, and Hispanic, anybody. You can see the things we've had to do as a people that will teach you America hasn't always been the friendliest to us. As Caucasian Americans, as white people, how many of you can say you had to sit down talk with your child about police? Black kids like myself had got that talk plenty of times as I've gotten older, and you get the first one when you're maybe 6 or 7 and you're playing in the streets, not to play with toy guns, not to aim them at anybody. If an officer approaches you, come home. Don't try to argue with them. Don't give them attitude. They're not your friend. They're not your enemy. They listen. Respect them. You get the other one when you're 12, 13 and you're hanging out with your friends and you're going into middle school and you're out there probably doing little hood rat hooligan shit. You get told, hey, they will kill you. And it's the first time you really see fear in your parents' eyes, because now it's out of their hands. Somebody can take you off of this planet and they have no say-so because you're out there. And that's horrifying. And to have your parent sit you down generation after generation after generation and have to have that talk, isn't that traumatic for us? They say it promotes white guilt. But the thing is, I don't think there should be any guilt about the truth. The thing is, like I said earlier, it's when the truth is hidden. It's when school promotes this image of everything being bright smiles and happy things, white people being the heroes, George Washington being a hero, Thomas Jefferson being a hero, Abe Lincoln being a hero, all of them. Evil, 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 evil. All of them. had slaves. Lincoln didn't want to free the slaves. He didn't have slaves. He didn't want to free the slaves. If he could have got to the presidency with keeping all of us in shackles, he would have done it. George Washington, those wooden teeth, lies, slave teeth. Those were actually made of different human slave teeth. Thomas Jefferson, descendants to this day from impregnating his slaves. And I'm not saying to go and defame and deface all of the American presidents or to defame any of our heroes, but to look at them only as heroes, as if heroes don't have a dark side. When we get Frederick Douglass, you get to hear about all of his downfalls and his pitfalls. You get to hear about that. When you hear about MLK, you hear about him being unhealthy. You hear about marital issues as they tried to frame him and his wife. And we're taught that. They don't have a problem saying that. I can only hear about MLK being killed. I can only hear about Rosa Parks' one incident. I can only hear about Harriet Tubman. I don't think there'd be white guilt from talking about real things that happened, like the Tulsa Massacre and the massive amount of other riots that have happened that we have no idea about. I've had to look into these as I've gotten older, and I'll put a list of them up if you want to learn about them too. But it's disgusting the amount of human history, American history, or anything that we skip over in our classes. Things that have happened within the confines of our own country go unnoticed. And it's funny that the writers of our history are the ones who tend to commit the atrocities. Another point about critical race theory is that it shows the holes in America. It makes America look inherently racist. It makes it look as if America never had a chance. But the thing is, that's not true. The whole goal of America since its origin has been to be the land of the free. We are literally here to promote freedom and everyone being what they want to be. Having freedom, being away from British rule. We were tired of being stomped on and held down, being limited by factors we couldn't control, being told that this is what we are worth by somebody who thought they were higher than us, or a system that was higher than us. We looked at the British as snobby folks who were above us, who couldn't help us, and they told us we were below them. We were scum. And we were stupid, and we were just the dumb Americans who farmed and were on some wild, wild west shit. Like, truly. But the thing is, America is always going to have its flaws, but to never talk about them will never appease them. America isn't a racist country, it's a country that has racism in it, just like everywhere. And we have plenty of other issues, just like everywhere. But to not address those issues doesn't make them go away. To not address those issues doesn't make it never happen. Ignorance is bliss, yo. But the thing is, fuck that. We need change. Change is bliss. And with that, honestly, I think I'm just going to close on my points and my personal opinion on critical race theory. Those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. So we might as well present our youth with all the information, knowledge, and history as they get old enough to digest it. As it happened, tell them the truth. Let them know what really happened so they can process that, internalize it, talk to that with the youth of their generation, and look at their fellow classmates and compromise and understand. We've changed. People have changed. Yo, history is crazy. Look how far we've come. I think another big point that I want to focus on is that education isn't just limited to school walls. If you educate your children at home, if you make them prideful of themselves and tell them about their culture and their history, and I'm not just talking about yee America culture, I'm talking about everyone. Proud Latin culture, my black people. Tell your children that they're more than slaves, because that's all the American school system does. To the American school system, we're only slaves, and then we were free, and we've just been up since. Like, no, we were kings, we were rulers, we've had our own nations. Melanated people have ruled parts of this earth. But American history seems to start with America. Like, the world started when America did, and that's as far as American history will tell you. Education goes beyond school confines because you can educate them at home. What they learn at home and what they learn at the church is all different perspectives. When you give your kids massive perspectives, when you give them a wide range of views, they can surmise their own opinions. Children are smart. Children are worth way more than we give them. Like, Their brains are working fast. All of this is brand new to them, and they're processing information for the first time. And then they're going to ask questions, and that's going to be the best part, because you can further educate them and let them know things have changed and things are going to keep changing. And one of the last points I want to close on is white people aren't racist. America just tends to be, due to the people who have power. This skin doesn't create racism. All of this doesn't create racism. Racism started with wealth. There wasn't racism. Wealth was how you divided people. You divided people by class. But when there became too many people to do that, you had to figure out other ways to divide people. We need to look further and realize critical race theory isn't just breaking down black and white. It's breaking down power dynamics within the system and how America screws everyone just a little bit, if you let it. But on that note, thank you guys for coming back to another one. Thank you for diving into this little breakdown with me. Let me know your opinion on critical race theory. I'm not here to argue, I'm here to talk. Controversy is conversation, and conversation is what we do here. So let's have a constructive conversation about critical race theory in the comments. Make sure you guys at my socials, hit me up on Instagram, let me know, and we can DM, talk about it. So thank you guys for coming back to another one. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to talk about next. Let me know what music you want to see on the channel. Let me know what talks you want to see on the channel. Thank you for coming back to another one. Make sure you have a great day, and peace.